previous record you did with Stephen Wilson. Was there a certain reason that you didn't continue with Stephen instead?
Oh no, not particularly. The difference with this record as opposed to the last one is that we had Christa from day one. You know, we recorded and started on day one with Christa, whereas on the last one, Stephen came in at the mixing stage and tried to make sense of what everything that we'd already recorded ourselves, and he did an amazing job mixing that record. We're here because we're here. I mean, that's part of the production as well. You know, is the job that he did and making sense of it. You know, so not to be underestimated, of course. You know, and but of course the difference is that having Christa from day one is that you get to. We got to pay attention with somebody else to every single little nuance, the builds of the drums. You know, it would be like, you know, I'd be stood there with him and say, okay, John, right, what you need to do here is just go a little bit heavier on the ride cymbal on this part, or even knowing when to switch to the ride cymbal and when to build it and when the song reaches its peak, all of those kind of things. And it's got to happen right across the board on every instrument. You know, even though they're being recorded at separate times, sometimes in different studios, you've got to have that same build and intensity across the board, and it's in the dynamics of how you play, and it's in the dynamics of how you sing and how it all goes down. And it was just easier to pay attention to that kind of thing with Christa. He was really good at that.
Was he a fan of yours actually? Or?
I think so, yeah. He told me he actually went to see us in Copenhagen. He's from Oslo with Petter Carlsen, his friend who introduced him to us. So it's funny how things turn around, you know. We're big fans of Petter Carlsen's now, and he's part of the extended family that we've got, you know. And so it was, of course, Christa's production work on that album, Clocks Don't Count, that convinced us that this is, okay, we need to give it a shot with this guy, you know.
Okay. Yeah,
and now, of course, we found our guy. This is it. This is the guy. Like, this is our...
He's part of the crew now.
Well, he's our George Martin, you know. You know what I mean? He's our Nigel Godrich, if you like.
Okay, that's nice. Yeah, because your brother moved to Oslo, I think, was a dream of him to live in Norway.
Yeah.
Last year or 2 years ago.
Oh, Danny's a big fan of nature, you know, and he was living on an island just off Oslo called Bidgøy, or Bigdøy. And he absolutely loved it. He's moved to Holland now, by the way. He's living in Holland.
Oh, he's not living there
At
anymore.
the moment, yeah.
Oh,
Who knows where he'll go next, you know.
Is he always been wandering around, or was this...
the last few years he has been.
Did it change the way of working for you, the two of you?
Well, we didn't really see very much of each other until we got to the studio, you know. We see each other when we're on tour, that kind of thing. But otherwise, we didn't really, you know, get together in a rehearsal room to practice the songs. We kind of just got into the studio and said, okay, let's see what we've got. Let's do what we're going to do. And it worked, actually. So
is that maybe part also done on purpose, that you have a certain amount of distance between each other when not working?
Do we need it? It's probably for the best. No, that's just circumstance. That's just the way it's happened. You know, we both moved out to Liverpool a few years ago, and I'm now living in Paris, and he's been moving around, and he's now in Holland at the moment, you know. So it's just circumstance, you know, it's just the way our lives have gone.
Why did you move to Paris? Was that personal reasons?
My girlfriend's from there, you know, and we got a place together, and it's the best move I ever made.
Yeah?
Yeah, it feels more like home than anywhere else I've ever lived.
Did living in Paris, I'm not sure when you moved there, but did it change you a lot?
Yeah, it's brought out my, or rather, it's reawakened my artistic side, really. Because when I was a kid, I used to love art and drawing and painting, and even though I'm still not doing that now, I'm kind of much more aware of my own artistic side and of art in general now. Because she's an artist, and we're kind of collaborating together as well. So it's very, very interesting for me.
Did you lose that sense at some point, maybe in your career or in your life?
No, it's just that music took over, you know. It was all about music, you know. But now I've got other things I want to do as well as music, and other kinds of music I want to do because of art. And sometimes it's just based on a sound or a a mood, an atmosphere, you know, rather than songs, you know.
Is there certain artists visually that inspired particularly the last writings for the last record?
I don't think so. Not visual artists, no.
Does the city maybe have an impact on you?
The city does, yeah, because it's calming for me. It's home, you know. So if I'm at peace, then that's what kind of effect it has at me. You know, it truly feels more like home than anywhere I've lived, and I've lived in quite a few places, and it's more like home than anywhere else.
Is there a certain rest now in you, maybe that you didn't have before because of this?
Yeah, but I think that happened anyway. That happened before I moved there. You know, that wasn't because of Paris. It was more like the other way around, really. Mm-hmm. I moved there after I'd already kind of sorted myself out.
And Jamie still lives in the UK then, or is
No, Jamie's in Holland. Jamie's lived in Holland.
Jamie's in Holland, okay. But
Danny's in Holland at the moment. Our keyboard player, Daniel Cardoso, is from Portugal. And you've got John and Lee in the UK, so that makes things very interesting, you know, trying to fly in for festivals and things like that. Mm-hmm.